All right, good morning. My name is Tyler Dumont. I'm the Strategic Communications Administrator for the New Hampshire Department of Safety. It is my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to the state of New Hampshire. Your partnership and presence are vital to the success of the initiatives that we are about to announce. I want to take a quick moment to explain how we have planned this event this morning. So first, you're going to hear from a couple of different speakers. I'll come up and introduce them one by one. We'll then take any questions. After that, representatives from all states who are here today can be made available for one-on-one interviews and conversations. We do have a Massachusetts State Police trooper present who is also available to provide comments in Spanish. We know there is always an interest in data, so if there's something in particular or specific that you're interested in, we'll do our best to accommodate you for your deadlines. If it's state-specific data that you're seeking, please speak with representatives from the state that you are interested in. It's now my pleasure this morning to welcome Art Kinsman, NHTSA'S Region 1 Administrator.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Art Kinsman with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. I want to thank the media present for coming and covering this. People are so immune to the effects of speeding. It's so, in some ways, accepted that we do appreciate that there's willingness to talk about and cover it. It's been something that's been going on for decades and decades and decades. And if you look at just a couple of years ago, there were 12,151 people killed in speed-related crashes in the United States, and 29%, one-third of all those killed in traffic crashes were in speed-related traffic crashes. I always say your best defense against speeders, aggressive drivers, impaired drivers is your seatbelt. And also, we have wonderful technology now that protects us, whether it's airbags or crumple zones or all these incredible new technology that helps protect us. But that all gets diminished by speeding. The faster we go, the less safe you are, no matter how protected you feel by your vehicle. While speeding is often the quicker option, and we have busy lives, we're going places, we always feel like we're in a time crunch. Speeding does catch up with you, and that's really probably the main reason why people speed, is the carelessness of speeding is related to their not leaving themselves enough time to get to their destination. That's why 22 states in NHTSA'S regions 1 through 4, which is basically from Maine all the way down to Florida, will be conducting a border-to-border speed enforcement initiative starting today. And this enhanced public information education campaign, coupled with increased enforcement, not only on our highways, but on local roads and from local departments as well. Our goal is, it's not about giving out tickets, it's about reminding drivers to curtail their speeding and trying to put an end to that risky behavior. We have to remember that no matter what people think about speeding, it's not a suggestion. It is the law. That's posted speed limits are the law, and these posted limits are carefully chosen to help keep you safe. So I want to thank, in particular, the law enforcement behind me that is gathered here today in support of us. At NHTSA, we're just trying to help the states diminish their traffic safety problems, and probably the most important partner always is law enforcement, state and local police. And I ask the public to help make their jobs easier and safer. When you see a trooper on the side of the road, slow down and move over, because their lives are at risk too by the speed, not just the travelers out there. So thank you very much, and again, thank you to all law enforcement.
Thank you, Administrator Kinsman. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome New Hampshire Department of Safety Assistant Commissioner Eddie Edwards.
Thank you, Tyler, and good morning and welcome. I really want to thank the media for being here. This is one of the most effective ways to get this message out about speeding, impairment driving, so thank you for being here. Again, my name is Eddie Edwards. I am the Assistant Commissioner for the Department of Safety here in New Hampshire. Here in New Hampshire, we take great pride in our roads. They connect our residents and visitors to our beautiful beaches and lakes, scenic mountain ranges, bustling communities. We have some main stretches of highways and roads in our state: I-89, I-93, I-95, our routes 125, 101, 16, 4, and 3. They are the lifeline to our state and local economy. However, speeding drivers pose a significant risk to the safety of these roads. The reckless driving behavior of speeding drivers carries with it costly and tragic consequences. By way of example, from 2019 to 2022, 165 people were killed in crashes statewide involving speeding. Additionally, when we look at these deadly crashes that involve speeding drivers and alcohol impairment, New Hampshire has one of the highest percentages in the nation. At the Department of Safety, we are committed to changing this trend. Our Office of Highway Safety will continue to support and fund local law enforcement efforts and educational initiatives to change this trend. These enforcement and educational initiatives are primarily focused on public education and awareness to reduce speeding drivers. Our Division of State Police are leading participants in executing these enforcement and educational initiatives. New Hampshire troopers are on our roads every day trying to make a difference. They are joined in their efforts by our local law enforcement who are equally passionate about changing this trend. I want to thank NHTSA, our Region 1 partners, and our local law enforcement officers, and our other law enforcement partners from Region 1 around the region. This collaborative effort will continue long after today because we believe this is the most effective way to make an improvement in our road safety and change driving behavior. Safer roads are a collective responsibility. It's up to each and every one of us to participate, and we hope that everyone will join us in our mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Commissioner Edwards. Next, I'd like to welcome New Hampshire State Police Lieutenant Christopher Storm.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Chris Storm from the New Hampshire State Police. The New Hampshire State Police is proud to collaborate with our bordering states to enhance safety on our roadways. With the busy travel season upon us, it is crucial for all motorists to prioritize safety and responsible driving practices. We urge all drivers to exercise caution, follow the speed limits, and move over for emergency vehicles. It's imperative to create a safe environment for our first responders who work tirelessly to protect and assist those in need. Your cooperation can make significant difference in ensuring the well-being of all users of our roadways. Additionally, we strongly advise anyone who is impaired to please plan ahead for a safe journey home. Driving under the influence poses a serious risk to yourself and to others on our roadways. By arranging a designated driver, utilizing public transportation, are calling a rideshare service. You can prevent potential crashes and tragedies in all of our states. To reinforce our commitment to road safety, the New Hampshire State Police will participate in NHTSA'S upcoming speed enforcement initiative. Over the next few days, we will be adding increased enforcement patrols, including through our Special Enforcement Unit, utilizing the State Police aircraft to monitor traffic, looking for extreme and egregious drivers. And as always, all of our state troopers will be on the ground working diligently to enforce traffic laws and ensure compliance with commercial safety regulations. A few numbers for you. Since January 1st, the New Hampshire State Police troopers have stopped more than 55,000 vehicles using a plethora of different technologies, including LiDAR, radar, and timing devices deployed in the State Police aircraft. Utilizing the State Police aircraft, we have stopped more than 700 drivers that were spotted traveling in excess of 90 miles an hour, and 71 of those vehicles traveling in excess of 100 miles an hour. Our proactive enforcement underscores the State Police's commitment to ensuring road safety and enforcing speed limits to protect our roadways for all roadway users. The New Hampshire State Police remains dedicated to protecting the lives on all of our roads, and we encourage everyone to join us promoting a culture of safety, responsibility, and respect while driving on the interstate system and beyond. Thank you for your attention and cooperation, and together we can make a difference, creating a safer environment for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next, I'd like to welcome Brian Langerman. He's Deputy Fire Chief of Westbrook, Maine Fire and Rescue Department.
Thank you, Tyler. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Brian Langerman, and I'm a Deputy Fire Chief Paramedic with the Westbrook Fire Department in Maine. I spent the past 30 years working in public safety with a concentration on emergency medicine. I want to talk to you today about a topic that affects us all, traffic safety. Every time you get behind the wheel, we take on the responsibility of ensuring not just our own safety, but the safety of everyone on the road. Unfortunately, traffic accidents remain a significant concern in our community, across the state of Maine, and throughout New England. As an EMS professional, I've seen firsthand the devastating impact that traffic accidents can have. I've responded to scenes where lives were cut short due to speed or reckless driving, where families were torn apart by a moment of distraction, or where individuals faced life-altering injuries. These experiences are heart-wrenching and serve as a stark reminder of the importance of traffic safety. I know firsthand how quickly lives can be lost and families forever changed by the behavior of those behind the wheel. Over the past 30 years, I have seen thousands of motor vehicle accidents, and each of them has their own story. When I was asked to come here to speak to you about this topic today, I was reminded of one story that took place throughout my career. It is one of many that has stuck with me throughout all these years, and one I feel appropriate to share with you today. This story goes back about 25 years. It was a beautiful summer day. The roads were dry. It was about 7:30 in the morning. There was not a cloud in the sky. A half hour into my shift, I was dispatched to a reported motor vehicle accident with reports of injury. I remember hearing the location over the radio and thinking the road was not a road we normally respond to for these types of accidents. We were the first arriving unit on scene. As we approached the accident, I remember seeing a huge debris field in the roadway. There were car parts scattered in all directions and two vehicles in the center of the roadway that had collided head-on. I remember getting out of the ambulance and seeing a woman lying face down on the side of the road with a large amount of blood surrounding her. There was a young girl who appeared to be a teenager leaning over her and crying and screaming. As we approached the woman lying in the roadway, it was evident that she had been ejected from one of the vehicles, and there was no chance of saving her life. She had been killed by the accident. As her body lay in the roadway about 40 feet from the vehicle, realizing that there was nothing we could do for that, we turned our attention to the young girl that was leaning over her. It was her 19-year-old daughter. The daughter had recently returned home from college, and her mother took the morning off of work to take her to breakfast to celebrate some achievements she had earned in school. The girl's name was Caitlin. It's been almost 30 years and I've not forgotten her name, and I'm going to tell you why. Caitlin was a passenger that day. She was wearing her seatbelt, and her mother and her were talking about school and a boy that Caitlin had started dating. Her mother, feeling a bit rushed to beat the breakfast crowd, was driving a few miles over the speed limit. As they were talking, Caitlin's mother reached down to grab the cigarette lighter to light her cigarette. It was at that point that her vehicle approached a slight bend in the road, and they crossed over the center line and struck an oncoming truck. The mother, who was not wearing her seatbelt, was immediately thrown from the vehicle, landing approximately 40 feet away from the edge of the pavement. Caitlin remained in the vehicle and was able to self-extricate. What I remember about this particular accident is that Caitlin didn't get a scratch on her. She had no noted injuries, just some minor soreness from where the seatbelt crossed over her chest. I assessed Caitlin and tried to convince her to go to the hospital and get checked out. She was 19 years old and she refused. She wanted to stay with her mother. She didn't want to leave. This was back in the day when cell phones were not a common thing. Not everyone had one. But there happened to be an officer that arrived on scene that had one of the old bag phones, and he allowed Caitlin to call her father. Caitlin's parents were divorced. Her father lived about 45 minutes away, and he immediately headed to the accident. I spent the next 45 minutes of that morning sitting on the side of the road with a girl I'd met only a few minutes before. I did not know how to comfort her or what to say. She asked me the same question over and over and over. She wanted to know, why did her mom die and she was not injured? She wanted answers, and I did not know how to answer that question. I did not know how to make the pain she was experiencing go away. Her life was forever changed that morning, and she knew it. About an hour later, Caitlin's father showed up, and that was the last I ever saw of her. Although I think of Caitlin from time to time, I'm saddened by the events of how this young girl lost her mother. If her mother was driving a bit slower, if her mother had not looked down to grab the cigarette lighter, if her mother had worn a seatbelt, might she be here today to see her daughter grow up, to graduate from college, to meet her grandchildren? Those are the answers that Caitlin was looking for on the side of the road that morning, and that's what I was unable to provide them to her. But I am, however, here to provide them to you. Caitlin's story is one of thousands. She's not unique. She's one victim of an accident that could have possibly been prevented. What I'm here to ask of you today is that you get into a motor vehicle, please follow these simple rules. Always wear your seatbelt. It's a simple step, but it can save your life. Seatbelts reduce the risk of fatal injury in front seat passengers by 45%, and the risk of moderate to critical injury by 50%. Don't drive under the influence. Alcohol and drugs impair your ability to drive safely, so never get behind the wheel if you're impaired, and don't let others do so. Avoid distracted driving. Alcohol and drugs, texting, talking on the phone, or even looking at your GPS can take your attention off of the road. In a single year, distracted driving accounted for almost 3,000 crashes in the state of Maine. So keep your focus on driving. Obey the speed limits. Speeding is a major cause of accidents. Always adhere to speed limits and adjust accordingly to road conditions. And lastly, be cautious of adverse conditions. New England weather can be unpredictable. Rain, snow, ice significantly increase the risk of accidents. Drive slower, keep safe distance from other vehicles, and use your headlights in poor visibility. By following these guidelines, we can contribute to making our roads safer. As a paramedic, my goal is to see fewer of these tragic accidents and more of our community members arriving safely at their destinations. Thank you for your time and attention. Drive safely. Let's work together to reduce accidents and save lives.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. I just want to make sure I didn't miss him. We were looking for Dr. Northam from Boston Children's Hospital. Is he here? I have not seen him. So just in case, I just wanted to make sure he may have had an emergency procedure come up. But we thank him that, unfortunately wasn't able to make it. Does anyone need commentary in Spanish? Yes, okay. We'll welcome our Massachusetts State Trooper to offer some comments in Spanish. Thank you.
Good morning, Trooper Rosario with the Massachusetts State Police. You want it in Spanish, correct? Okay, sorry, 1 second. Soy el oficial Rosario con la Policía Estatal de Massachusetts. Estamos aquí colaborado con la iniciativa de seguridad de la Administración Nacional de Seguridad del Tráfico en las Carreteras del Departamento de Transporte de los Estados Unidos para concientizar al público sobre los peligros de manejar a exceso de velocidad. Ayuda a NHTSA a difundir el mensaje. El exceso de velocidad no vale la pena. Manejar a exceso de velocidad es ilegal y te pone en peligro a ti, a tus pasajeros y a los otros usuarios de la carretera. Los límites de velocidad se establecen para proteger a todos los usuarios de nuestras carreteras. Solo queremos que todos lleguemos seguros a nuestro hogar. Soltar los celulares para no manejar distraído. Conducir muy rápido afecta tu seguridad, incluso si manejas dentro del límite de velocidad permitido, pero demasiado rápido para las condiciones de la carretera. Estás como en un caso de clima severo, cuando una carretera en reparación o cuando estás en una ubicación poco iluminada por la noche. Un error común es pensar que el exceso de velocidad solo es un problema que afecta a las carreteras interestatales, pero la verdad es que el exceso de velocidad ocurre y es peligroso en todos los tipos de calles y carreteras. Por favor, obedezcan los límites de velocidad para llegar a nuestro hogar seguros. Cuando vea un vehículo de emergencia, de policía, de ambulancia, de bombero, reduzca velocidad y abre paso para que nosotros también lleguemos seguros a nuestro hogar. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Trooper Rosario. We can now open it up for any questions. Okay. Yeah, we'll just have to have you speak up because we do have the interstate behind us, so thank you. Administrator Kinsman is the question for you. No worries.
The question was how does this all come together? This is something that we've done these collaborative type of law enforcement efforts, whether it was distracted driving in the past, seat belts, and this year we're focusing in on speeding. And we have Region 1 is all of the New England states, and of course, down regions 2, 3, 4, go all the way down into Florida. And so it's really just a combined collaborative effort, both by law enforcement and also public education, to get the focus on speeding, especially during the busiest travel time of year. And it's a great number of the patrols and are funded to the states through NHTSA, but really what that is, it's the state's tax dollars coming back to them to be used for traffic safety purposes, for trying to reduce fatalities and injuries on the roads.
Other questions? Lieutenant Storm, maybe you want to take this one? The question was, we discussed a number of topics: speed, distracted driving, other factors. Does one outweigh the other in terms of what you're seeing on the road?
So currently right now, there isn't one that outweighs the other. We're seeing a multitude of different things with distraction. We're seeing a lot of stuff with impairment. As Commissioner Edwards indicated afterwards, here in New Hampshire, we're seeing a really increase in impaired driving, not only by alcohol, but also by drugs. And then speed, and everybody that travels the roadways with us sees that speed is way up out there.
Any Anyone else? Good. Great. Well, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all of our law enforcement. Some of them traveled a couple hours to be here this morning, so we really appreciate all of our partners being here as well. Thank you again.